Welcome to the Ex Copernicus Show, an investigative series into quantum reality. My name is Tyler Scott. I'm an ex-cop with 13 years experience. This is Cosmic Disclosure for Cops. I'm currently investigating the mechanics of simulation theory as well as interviewing and profiling contactees of interfrequential beings. Most of you will know these beings as extraterrestrial and the Sasquatch peoples of Earth. As well as we're going to be documenting and articulating CE5 science. In this series, we're going to address information coming to light as a result of the cosmic disclosure movement and a significant uptick in sightings of UFO, UAP, and plasmoids in my area and areas around the world. Millions of people have seen them globally at this point, as have I and dozens of other people I know, but we're not seeing it in our news. Mass and individual sightings are becoming more and more prevalent, as are sightings of extraterrestrial interfrequential beings and craft on the ground, as well as many more sightings of the beings commonly referred to as Sasquatch or Bigfoot. I don't believe we're going to get any level of real intelligence from our governments on the matter, so I'm doing my best to summarize my investigation and articulating some of the things that people are experiencing. We're attempting to build a holistic model of reality. Our governments on this earth are not in the business of sharing esoteric information. If you want that, you have to do some investigating. Since starting the practice of CE5 meditation, I've seen silver orbs, plasmoids, and a massive cigar craft. I have video evidence of these plasmoids or orbs and the cigar craft. I am beginning to prepare a police intelligence program for a global market, so police will have a place to start in dealing with the ramifications and fallout of the disclosure movement. I do have some serious concerns about what is to happen, as we are most likely looking at psychosis and mass panic on a vast scale. So what is going on? Why is this happening now? Well, it turns out it has a lot to do with human consciousness. We have not been informed what it properly is. Everything I'm about to say is based on a holistic view of human knowledge, incorporating the fundamentals of quantum physics, electromagnetism, epigenetics, consciousness science, ancient esoteric knowledge, all put together to tell you a story. Our society right now functions non-holistically. I'm certainly not saying I know everything or have all the answers. I'm learning as I go. I'm learning as the investigation calls for it. When I went to school in Canada, we were taught how to perceive reality from a Newtonian perspective. Physical things interacting with physical things. Science from the 1700s. Obviously, science has moved on a great deal since then, but the general public and police agencies are not informed of the implications. We now have a metaphysical understanding of the universe, and it looks a lot like we are in a created, electromagnetic, multidimensional, holographic, simulated reality. That's exactly what it looks like when we put all the information together. It wasn't something I was aware of, and I'm sure it's not something a lot of people are aware of. Our perception of a physical reality is just the tip of the iceberg compared to the metaphysical forces creating it. I grew up believing that I was an evolved form of chimpanzee, a physical being living on a physical rock. That is only a small part of the story and does not include the rest of the evidence available. It's not the whole story, as quantum physics and electromagnetism paints a very different picture of this place. When we zoom in on anything, what do we have? Atoms, right? But what is an atom? The model we were taught in high school is outdated and apparently misleading. Well, it turns out atoms are about 99% energy and 1% physical matter, and then when we zoom in on that 1%, also just energy. We do not live in a physical reality as most of us perceive it, not by a long shot. This is what the ancients referred to as Maya, the grand illusion. Because that's what physical reality is, an illusion. Our brains are designed to limit perception. Our perception of a physical reality is a limiting function of our brains. If we zoom in on the things that we consider real, they cannot be considered real from a physical Newtonian perspective. How can that be? When someone is assaulted, it leaves a physical bruise. When a car crashes, it crumbles from the physical impact, right? Not really. Turns out what we actually experience is electromagnetic repulsion. And nothing ever physically touches anything because it cannot do so in the first place. What we actually perceive is only 0.0035% of the light spectrum. Everything in our reality is energy. Everything is light. We are made of atoms. We are nothing but energy. An apple, the forbidden fruit, is called such because it is a perfect example of a toroidal energy structure. Same as an atom, the fruit of knowledge. Today, we have a better food-based parallel, the donut. Atoms look like donuts. As former law enforcement, I find this hilarious, the holy donut. The human being, energetically speaking, is the same structure as the Earth, as is our solar system and everything in reality. Everything is a microcosm of the macrocosm, a smaller holographic reflection of a bigger holographic reality. Energy can be defined as light carrying information, as can a hologram. A 3D hologram is projected from the information contained within a 2D plane. To create a hologram, we shine a light through a 2D sheet of glass. The information on the glass presents a 3D image. That's what's going on here. We now know that Stephen Hawking was wrong. The information absorbed within a black hole can never be lost. It's retained on the surface. All the information required to create a galaxy is contained within the surface of a black hole at the center of the galaxy. In other words, it seems our galaxy is a projection from a supermassive black hole at its center. We are holograms. Our universe is a hologram. This is not new information. Millions of people are aware of this information, but it hasn't really settled into the zeitgeist of human consciousness just yet. The human body, as defined by quantum physicists everywhere, is a hologram. The CIA defines us, a human being, as a holographic soul container. We are holographic beings residing in a holographic reality without question. This is part of the story that we refer to as simulation theory. The theory is just simply our best understanding of a subject matter. The science movie have moved way past this. We already have many machines and technologies that function on these principles. Any tech with the word quantum in it functions on this deeper understanding of reality. Google's new quantum chip alone proves the existence of the multiverse, which is something else completely different. Here, we live in what's referred to as a space-time matrix, the third density of quantum field energy, the third frequency. One dimension in the infinite fractal simulation where the beings here are having a physical experience. What exists in the other 99% of reality? This is where most people shut down. An interdimensional, interfrequential reality is just too much for us to comprehend. It certainly was for me, not something I spent much time thinking about before I started looking into UAPs. A better and more modern term, I believe, is interfrequential. I believe interdimensional implies different spatial dimensions, which is a thing, but a different thing. It's easier to comprehend when you shift your awareness to an energetic perspective. We tend to think we live on a rock, we haven't seen anything else, and nothing else is here. But from a quantum perspective, that's not the case. We are energy beings on a ball of energy only perceiving 0.0035% of reality. 0.35% of the light spectrum. There's a whole lot more to the story than 0.0035%. Earth can be more accurately perceived as a ball of energy. We only exist in a very small frequency band of that energy, but there's a whole lot more going on. Earth has many frequencies, exists in all frequencies simultaneously. This is the basis to understand the interdimensional, interfrequential nature of our reality. Dimensions can also be considered specific ranges of frequency or densities of quantum field energy. What the ancients called the aether, we now call quantum field theory, the force. We exist in a field of energy like Wi-Fi. UFOs, ghosts, Sasquatch, all of these things are interfrequential phenomenons and make a lot more sense when we come to terms with the multidimensional, multifrequential, holographic nature of our reality. They are beings. Screwed up. They are beings that exist in a higher frequency but have full epigenetic control of their frequency or density. Epigenetics now tells us that a human being has full ability to heal their body with meditative practices. We can literally cure our own diseases and fix damaged tissue. Extremely interesting stuff. If you haven't heard of this, check out the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton and Dr. Joe Dispenza. If you want to understand what a human being is truly capable of. The Coles Notes is a lot more than I thought, a lot more than my kids think, a lot more than we're teaching our schools. Everything is energy. We can control the energy in our body with our minds. We're only just starting to figure this out. Where do you think we're going to be in a million years? Every being has their own specific frequency. A huge part of the reason why we do not know this is because frequency technology is also the key to free energy devices and Star Trek-esque healing stuff. Lights that heal everything. That's real. A human being is basically a hologram. If we treat it like a hologram, we can heal anything wrong with the body. Right now, Western medicine focuses on the biology above the holographic principle, the tip of the iceberg. We don't need to. We can fix the underlying atoms, which will fix every biological problem above. Western medicine essentially fixes the walls and windows of a house and ignores the foundation completely. Also, because every human being has a specific frequency, every human being can be located by their specific frequency. We can detect the specific frequency of things millions of miles from Earth. We have to accept that we can do it on every human here on Earth. Frequency technology has been the most suppressed branch of research since Tesla basically solved all our problems with it. He made the technology limitless and therefore unprofitable to our control paradigm. So we went with the inferior technology and have been stuck with it ever since, simply because the inferior technology is more profitable long term and eventually will transfer control out of the hands of the elite class. Everything in existence has its own frequency. The planet has a frequency. The chair you're sitting on has a frequency. You have a frequency. Your emotions have a frequency. The truth about UAP, UFO, Sasquatch, ghost cryptids, and all sorts of paranormal shenanigans, all of it can be boiled down to this. We live in a reality dictated by quantum physics. Quantum physics, turns out, is spiritual science. Spiritual science is the science of the electromagnetic holographic simulated reality this is. This is a simulation that has multiple frequencies, channels, levels, worlds, realms, planes, or planets, however you want to visualize it. All these things popping in and out of our reality, like the Sasquatch people, plasmoids, UFOs, UAPs, all can be considered interfrequential phenomenon. They move between dimensions, frequencies, densities of reality. But they're not really phenomenal. We just haven't been properly educated. The firmament, as referred to in many ancient texts, is the energetic barrier between dimensions or frequencies, also known as the light speed limit. The firmament is said to separate the waters from the waters, the densities from the densities, the frequencies from the frequencies, the dimensions from the dimensions. We only perceive one very limited portion of what's going on, one very specific frequency of reality. Think honey on water. We live in the dense, thick honey at the bottom. There are many other things living in the water above. Some of them, I believe, evolved naturally, potentially on our Earth, like the Sasquatch people that have evolved to be in the next frequency and poke back down into our lower, denser frequency. Every planet is not just one planet. Every planet has its own version of this principle. So when we look at Mars and we see nothing there from our perspective in the third frequency, that does not mean there are not civilizations of billions of beings and other frequencies on that planet, or any other planet for that matter, including ours. Earth is very likely home to billions of other intelligent beings in other frequencies of reality. I believe the Sasquatch people and the hundreds of thousands of interactions and more every day are undeniable proof of this. At the start of this investigation, I didn't even think Sasquatch and Bigfoot was a real thing. But from an evidentiary standpoint, they're the easiest to prove. The evidence is absolutely overwhelming. Hundreds of thousands of interactions are not made up. Extraterrestrial beings move between dimensions and frequencies of reality. Some, if not all, can do it epigenetically as well by controlling their frequency. We can already do this to a lesser extent. There have been reports of human beings vanishing temporarily into thin air over our history and recent times. Many Sasquatch witnesses observed them vanishing into thin air. Basically, it's all about controlling the frequency or speed of the atomic level. If you can get something to vibrate faster than the light speed here, it will vanish into the next frequency. These craft can vibrate in and out of our frequency. This is why people always report UFOs, UAPs vanishing into thin air. as can the beings themselves, seemingly manifest from thin air. They are consciously controlling their frequency to manifest in our density. These beings come from a higher dimension, frequency, density of reality. But not only that, because these beings are energy beings like us, they can also consciously control their form. They can appear as extraterrestrials, plasma-like energy, glowing orbs of light, or geometric forms. It is my opinion that any being that's evolved enough to be interfrequential is also a shapeshifter. Many people have reported observing this process. People who say they glow and appear in high definition. They say it's like realizing for the first time our reality is in 1080p and they are coming from 4K, because energetically, that's basically what's happening. They are coming from a macroscopic, larger version of reality. Their forms and their consciousness contain more quanta, more information. Same principle as our TVs. Every year we are learning how to get more information on the screen, and that is making the image more clear and higher definition. This is why the beings themselves appear to glow and look more real than real. That's not to say all extraterrestrials appear this way. They can manifest totally in our frequency and will appear as we do. But for a large portion of sightings, they're glowing beings that we can't even compute because we've never seen something like it before. Everything exists on a spectrum. They have the conscious ability to decide how they appear on the spectrum. Yoda was right. Luminous beings are we. This is why all religions and mystic schools have recorded interactions with luminous beings throughout our history. These beings are in a higher state of matter, the plasma state, and can lower their frequency to physical matter at will. If you aren't aware, the biggest story in the world right now is the cosmic disclosure and truth movements. If you don't understand what's happening with cosmic disclosure, you won't have the keystone to discern why anything is happening in politics around the world right now. Everything that's happening right now is because of what's happening in cosmic disclosure. The work of the Disclosure Project and Dr. Stephen Greer have proven to the U.S. Congress two things. Shadow organizations have successfully reversed engineered extraterrestrial craft and are in possession of Earth-saving technologies such as unlimited energy devices, such as the toroidal quantum vacuum generators known as zero-point energy, and various other over-unity devices, more energy out than in. Also, all sorts of anti-gravity, portal tech, chronovisor, light healing technology that can heal everybody and everything. Two, these shadow organizations are no longer in control of the U.S. government and have been deemed illegal. Many military secrets were put into private corporations to keep the information away from the Freedom of Information Act. It's gotten away from legal oversight. These are known as the military-industrial complex, as first identified by Eisenhower on his way out, the cabal, the deep state, etc., whatever you want to call them. New legislation was drafted in the U.S. to put this technology back in the hands of the legal government. Some are playing ball, some do not want to relinquish power, and some groups are quite literally off-world. The U.S. and the rest of the world are in a real pickle right now, and some crazy things are already playing out if you're not paying attention to the drone sightings in New Jersey and around the world. Sightings of plasmoids and orbs and UFOs are everywhere. Every day people are seeing them now. I've seen them 6 times. I've known other people. I've seen many. There's a dude in the town next to me that's had a conversation with mantis beings